Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. It's Niall, and I'm delighted as always to be joined by Paul Kelly. And we're here to discuss kind of looking ahead to the future as to what's next for both Fabio Wardley and Frazer Clarke after we've just witnessed them battle to a thrilling draw in the O2 Arena in London. It was an absolute epic domestic clash. And of course, with it being a draw, that means Fabio Wardley keeps hold of his British and Commonwealth titles. But yeah, it was just such an epic encounter. And Paul, let's jump into it. Of course, hope you're well, obviously. But if you want to see us kind of go into more detail on the fight and a reaction, you can check that video out on the channel now. But in terms of what's next, yeah, of course, the glaring one was the rematch. You know, we spoke about it on the reaction video. After an epic fight like that, the rematch just makes total sense, doesn't it? After that back and forth, that has to be the number one option. I know we're here to discuss other options, but if you had a choice, it is the rematch for you, is it?
Yeah, mate, thanks for having me on. I think it is, as you mentioned there, it is glaringly obvious. I think it's the only fight now that we want to see next for either man. And of course, we will go into maybe a couple of other options if it isn't to be the rematch. But I have a sneaky suspicion that, let's be honest, 99.9% of boxing fans will want to see that again. It was just simply incredible fight. Nip and tuck, toe to toe, just blood and guts, everything that you want. Heavyweight boxing, and obviously brittle. If it is cliche, but British title fights, when do they ever fail to deliver? No
Mm.
matter what weight it is, no matter if it's fighters you've heard of or not heard of, British title fights are just epic. They see the British titles, the area titles. You get Central Area English and all out there. All of those title fights are just unreal. Like there's so much at stake. It means so much clearly to win those type of belts, and the Lonsdale belt in particular. And yeah, I mean, I think absolutely incredible fight. And as you said, and I completely concur, it has to be the rematch next, doesn't it? If you try and put yourself in both fighters' shoes as well. If you're Frazer Clarke, you're annoyed at yourself that the only reason you're not sitting with those belts over your shoulder right now is because of a low blow, somewhat potentially harsh. Yes, I know he was warned once or twice before the point deduction, but it was very, very harsh. Um, if you're Fabio Wardley, you're maybe sitting thinking, I got the knockdown. If I could maybe have just pulled the trigger a little bit more after that and gone and maybe emptied the tank, would he have stopped Frazer Clarke? We don't know. Obviously, he got that horrendous cut on the bridge of his nose as well, and that might have affected his vision slightly. But it makes total sense from both fighters' perspectives to fight again. Also, promotionally, let's be honest, like that's a headline in itself. They don't Boxer, Sky Sports, whoever don't need to put any work into that. It sells itself. The rematch in the summer. Let's be honest, like that's the only fight we want to see. Plus, I'd like to think that I'm sure they got paid pretty healthily there, but I'd like to say that their purchase would get even a little more hefty for the rematch. I just can't see any other option, mate. What about yourself?
Yeah, no, I agree totally. As you mentioned, we spoke about it before in the other video, but yeah, it just has to be. It makes total sense, you know, with how epic the fight was. To say it wasn't a bore fest, if you will, that was a draw, you know, that we're not clamoring to see again. Everybody'd be clamoring to see that again, even if there was a winner. To be honest with you, as you mentioned, Frazer Clarke without the low blow was probably the new British and Commonwealth champion, so it's as close as that. But even if he won that. I'd still have loved to see that again. It was so close. So yeah, I think the rematch makes really the most sense. But if the rematch doesn't come to fruition, of course we're here to talk about maybe what other options there could be. You know, if Frazer Clarke did get the win, obviously time is not on his side, so he would have had to shoot towards European titles or world titles next with his kind of age and his expectations. But the fact that Fabio Wardley now is still the British and Commonwealth champion with that draw. Let's say the Frazer Clarke rematch doesn't happen next. What sort of names could you see Fabio Wardley fighting? Would you see him go to a European level and fight maybe a KBL for the title, or maybe kind of a gatekeeper at the heavyweight division like a Carlos Takam, even a Derek Chisora, maybe, who knows, or what sort of names would you like to see Fabio Wardley in with next?
Yeah, mate. There's if it's not if it's not Frazer Clarke, obviously, I think there are a few that make sense. Like I don't personally want to see Derek Chisora really fight anymore. But that's a name that might get thrown about. One that you mentioned there, Caballal, but I think he's fighting Frank Sanchez, isn't he?
Yeah.
Um, so maybe it depends on what happens in that fight. But yeah, Hakam, a gatekeeper, is that a good fight? One that's just come to my mind.
Mm.
And obviously people were talking about him as a top five heavyweight not so long ago. But what about Fabio Ward or Frazer Clarke, whoever, against Joe Joyce? Like Joe
Yeah.
Joyce did. He obviously came off those Zhang back-to-back defeats, but then came in against Cash Ali and kind of underwhelmed, I think is fair to say. Looked very slow,
Mhm.
heavy, but we don't know how seriously he took that fight because you know, Joe Joyce on his worst day, no harm to Cash Ali, was always going to win that fight. So is that a fight that you'd like to see? British, yeah, why not? But then I think if you're Joe Joyce, you don't want to, he's not getting any younger. He's late 30s, approaching 40. He'll want to just have massive fights that get him to the world titles. Whether or not he gets that far, don't think he want to look down the ladder again, Fabio Wardley. But it makes sense for Fabio Wardley and looking up, of course. I think if Caball's still the European champion, because if not, that belt would maybe become vacant or whatever. That's the natural progression for Fabio Wardley. I'm not 100% sure what's happening with the EBU heavyweight title, but yeah, eh, there are, of course, plenty of other names out there, but yeah, none more that I would really like to see than Fraser Clarke rematch.
Yeah, I have to say the Joe Joyce show is great. It's one that I wouldn't have thought of myself, but now you mention it, it'll be a great fight. And I think if Fabio Wardley can take the shots off Joe Joyce, I wonder if Joyce had Wardley in the position that Frazer Clarke did the last few rounds of that fight tonight, would Joyce have got him out of there? As we mentioned on the reaction video, I don't know how Fabio Wardley kind of stayed up. The grit and the determination he showed to get through to the end of that fight was absolutely incredible. So could Joyce finish him off? Who knows? I suppose, like as you mentioned, there is the question of what's going on with the European belt with Cabiel. Is he still the champion or what? I just want to ask you, do you reckon like what's the kind of ceiling that you would have for Fabio Wardley? Obviously, it's kind of a tricky one to say as he's coming off the draw with Frazer Clarke, but could you see him getting his hands on a European belt? Would he have, let's say, sort of easier fights than Clarke to get his hands on the European belt, if that makes sense? Would European level kind of be a ceiling, and could he push on to fringe world level? How far could you see Fabio Wardley go?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. You asked me that a year ago, 18 months ago, and I'm telling you that there's no way that Fabio Wardley could have won a European title. Now, I think, and do you know what? Even though I think Fraser Clarke did enough to win that fight ever so slightly, I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that he could win the EBU title. To be honest with you, I think he can become European champion. I think it all depends on who the fight's against. You're right. Obviously, Fraser Clarke, with all of that amateur pedigree, he was world class amateur. So, realistically, that was for the British title, but was that fight there slightly above the British level? You maybe could argue that, with all of the experience and stuff that Clarke has, as well as the improvements Wardley's made. I think Wardley's one of the most vastly improved fighters from UK shores, and that since he's turned pro to now. To be quite honest with you, I think yes, he still shows signs of being a bit untidy and smothering his work sometimes, but he's a concussive puncher. And yeah, I think he's just improved fight on fight. I don't see why he can't win a European belt. I'd be very surprised if he ever became world champion, to be honest with you, mate. But again, you never know with belts becoming fragmented all the time and getting vacant title shots and everything like that. So yeah, I don't. Yeah, you know what I'm gonna say. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Fabio Wardley won a European title.
Yeah, I have to agree with you totally, to be honest. In terms of Fabio Wardley, like I'm such a big Fabio Wardley fan. He's just so exciting. He's so like he's very kind of rough around the edges, but that's what makes him so exciting, and it's understandable too. With him, the background he's from, the white collar background, but he just keeps defying expectations. So why can't he win a European title? Nobody would have expected him to win kind of a British title or a Commonwealth title with how he started. So yeah, he just keeps defying everybody's expectations. Even tonight, like you look at the backgrounds of both fighters, Fabio Wardley shouldn't be kind of holding his own and giving Frazer Clarke hell, former Olympian, decorated amateur Frazer Clarke. So absolute credit to Fabio Wardley. And I do agree also with what you said that it was above, it was definitely a fight that was above British level tonight. So why can't he hold his own at European level and even pick up an EBU title? But yeah, world level is a bit out of reach, but there's no shame in that way. He was holding world titles at the minute and he was in line to fight for world titles. But I'm very curious to see, like, if it's not a rematch, who will it be next for Fabio Wardley and Frazer Clarke? Obviously, if the rematch doesn't come to fruition. So, yeah, that's all we have time for in just looking at what might be next for both men, Fabio Wardley and Frazer Clarke, after tonight's epic draw at the O2 Arena in London. Let us know what you think in the comments. Is it the rematch next that you have to see, or if it is to be someone else, who would you like to see both men in with? And as always, don't forget, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on social media. Always great content coming out around fight weeks. And yeah, Paul, thanks again and take care.
Here, mate. All the best.
Cheers.